Hey there, my fellow artists. Welcome to a new type of video kind of series that I'm starting here on my channel. This is going to be overview slash reviews of painting books, art books, and all the like that you may come across here and there and just out there in the world. And to kick off today's series, I want to take a look. I'm kind of gonna give you some sneak peeks. I won't infringe on copyrights or anything on these books. It's just, this is purely for overview reviews to share with you all. But for today, our very first book of the series, we're going to be doing this covering this book right here, which is 5-Minute Watercolor, Super Quick Techniques for Amazing Watercolor Painting. Written / compiled by Samantha Nielsen. To get started with this book, I'm going to actually show you a little bit here, some behind the scenes, not really behind the scenes footage, but you know what I mean, a little bit of a sneak peek inside of the book, and then also how I went ahead and tested out using the book for you guys, so that then I can really, share my thoughts with you here about what I experienced trying to use the book as someone who's already an experienced painter, but looking at it through the lens of, if I were a beginner watercolor artist, how would this book actually help me? Would it actually help me? What would I get out of this book? What do I feel like the book might kind of let me down in some areas? So again, this is just kind of an overview / review of this nice little book here. So as I kind of show you here, working through a couple different pages of the book and just going over what, my test drive here, if you will, I can just go ahead and read you. This is like the description of the book. Is 5-Minute Watercolor, simple tips to speed up your watercolors. Samantha Nielsen's expert advice and inspirational art will have you reaching for your paintbrush. Watercolor painting doesn't have to mean a huge investment of time. This book will show you how to incorporate painting into your everyday life in no time. Recreate your favorite landscape, paint a quick portrait, or give your city a watercolor wash in just 5 minutes. So looking into the book itself, it's broken up into 4 kind of chapters or, sections. The first section is about tools and, I don't want to say the simple things that we probably already know if you've already started working with watercolors, but this is probably stuff you already know unless you are a super true absolute beginner. Like what type of brushes to use, when to use them, what type of paper you should go for, all that good stuff. The second section or chapter is all about easy techniques that you can use. For example, like wet on wet method, creating blooms, doing a dry brush effect, doing some splatter effects, all of that good stuff. The next section, or chapter 3 as it's called in the book, is about applying your techniques. And this is kind of the nitty-gritty part of the book where I think kind of the most useful information is found. And this is where we get ideas for that, the title of the book, the 5 minutes to create whatever watercolor scene it is you're going for. Some of these examples that I can pull from the book here is like 5-minute monochromatics, 5-minute skies, 5-minute rocks, 5-minute trees, 5-minute water and waves, 5-minute landscapes, 5-minute cityscapes, 5-minute seascapes, and 5-minute floral patterns. There's also some quick tips on breaking things down into shapes, how to actually go about doing a sketch, painting the 4 different seasons, painting people in crowds, and some quick ways to paint night scenes at night. The 4th section, or the 4th chapter, is about, well, they say taking it further. So this is just some tips about taking what you know or what you've gathered from the book and applying it to like future paintings and stuff. So as you can see here, I've already gotten started just experimenting with a couple of different pages in the book and just going off of what, I'm reading. And again, if I were a beginner, this is kind of what I'm intending to kind of review this book as for beginners. So I'm kind of pretending in this tense that this is my first time doing things, looking into using watercolors and how I can go about using watercolors based off of what I'm reading in the book here. Now, the one thing that I really I kind of struggled with looking at this book is the fact that there's no like step-by-steps. You know what I mean? There's no like actual projects to try or to follow along with. Rather, it's just a lot of like little snapshots of pictures, watercolor pictures done by either the author of the book or other artists that are just kind of added in for, you know, examples. And it's not like there's nothing in here to actually follow along, like step 1, step 2, like step 1 you would sketch this, step 2 you would do this to create that final picture that you're seeing on the page, which I think for a beginner is like, that's really, really helpful for beginners, and it's not included in this book. And I would say that that would be, like, if I were a complete total beginner, I would definitely be struggling right now with that, because otherwise just looking at a final result here and then reading, I mean, a couple of tips here on the page which are useful, but then trying to recreate what you actually see without like any extra assistance is like, how do I even go about making this picture? Along with that, because these are like paintings, examples of paintings in the book, either done by the artist that wrote the book, or again, other artists that she probably borrowed snapshots of these pictures from, I actually felt like very odd trying to use these examples to practice my own pictures like I'm doing here. I kind of tried to pick like the simplest ones that I felt like I could kind of take and make my own, because I kind of felt like I was just copying their work by trying to work off of their examples. But again, there was no other way to really get real practice out of this book other than looking at those examples and then again just trying to recreate them on my own and kind of put my own spin on them so it doesn't look like I'm totally copying them. I would also say that the whole purpose of the book is to do things in 5 minutes, but I feel like we also need to talk about the fact that you have to have drawing time when it comes to doing watercolors, like you've already seen me do here, that I've had to take a break, do another area, make like another little doodle picture with my watercolors, and then come back and add more later once that base coat of paint is dry, because there is dry time in between layers in watercolor that's really, really important. Because it's actually, let's be honest, going to take you a little bit more than 5 minutes to do that. But one thing I did kind of like in this book is the inclusion of kind of how to go about, or at least the idea of creating a mixing chart towards the end of the book again, because I think this is a really, really helpful tool for beginner watercolor artists to use, just to start experimenting with mixing colors up and trying different things, and understanding that you can get different colors by mixing, you know, whatever set palette you have, mixing a little bit of each thing together, and not always in 50-50 amounts. Sometimes it's more of like a 30% to 60% amount, or I guess it would be 33 to 66, but you know, math. Like I said, instead of doing things 50-50, sometimes it's a little bit more of this color than this color to create this desired result. And if you change those ratios a little bit, things might get a little bit different, which is where, you know, we experiment with things in the chart to see how that actually happens and just to play around with it. So I do really appreciate that that was included in this book, because I think that's a really useful tool for beginner watercolor artists to use and to try out. I'm not really sure why it was included at the very end of the book, when it probably would have been a little bit more useful to learn right up front how to start mixing your colors and creating a whole color chart towards the beginning. But hey, whatever, right? So there you have it. That is 5 Minute Watercolor, all about this book. That's just my take on it. You guys can totally go and get the book for yourself. So in all, I would say it's a useful tool, but not exactly for beginners. I feel like you kind of have to have a little bit of experience with watercolor first before diving into this, because sure, it does go over the basics and everything, but it's also like, it doesn't really help you put it into actual practice, which is, as an artist myself, especially when I was first learning how to create art in general, it's like I need that step-by-step process, right? And I feel like a lot of artists do, especially beginners, even more experienced. Like if there's something that I might want to learn from another artist, I'm not just going to want them to like sit and like tell me this is probably what you should try doing next time you're doing, you know, I need to be not only give an example of how things need to look, but step-by-step instructions on how to actually at least somewhat get there to the desired result, which is something I definitely always strive to do on my like Canvas Academy platform, and like when I'm teaching, you know, painting classes online and with you guys and everything, because I think that's really, really helpful. And that's just something that I would have personally liked to have seen more of in this book. But in any case, I hope you guys enjoyed seeing this overview slash review of this whole book. Again, I'm going to kind of make this into a little bit of a series if I can get my hands on a couple more books like this, just to like test drive them out for you guys, just show you a little bit inside, and just to kind of help you decide for yourself, is this a book that might work for me, or maybe not so much. So again, I really hope you guys like this, and I will see you all next time, my fellow artists, later.